This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Whoa! Welcome to the 39th episode of the Deployment Dojo. Wow, that was loud on my headphones. I hope it wasn't too loud on you guys. All right, 39th episode. Man, we're getting up there. This is a live show where we introduce and discuss software installation topics using the WiX Toolset. I'm your host, Rob Mensching, and joining me once again is my very good friend and still first student of the dojo, David Edson. David, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
4th of July, a little holiday, but we're all kind of back into the usual run of things, and we have a show to do, right?
Yep.
All right. So I wanted to pick up today right where we left off and drill into a topic that one of our chat members have been asking since the beginning. Martin's here. That's great. Also, Paul and Bert, welcome. And Gabriel, it's welcome. Some new faces. It's great to have you all here. We're going to dig in deeper into one particular topic. I actually had planned to do a little bit of investigation before, and I just kind of ran out of time. I'm still getting used to having the kids home from school. I don't know if you're having the same problems. So I didn't get a chance to do this. So we're going to do it all live. So we're going to get to watch me bumble around and see what happens. In particular, if you remember, we left off with the .NET framework. We were looking at the .NET framework detection code. You remember that?
Right.
At the end. And I pointed out a whole bunch of different pieces, and I kept skipping over one particular part over and over and over. And that one particular part was what Martin kept wanting me to talk about. Well, it's time for us to talk about it. So why don't we go ahead and get ourselves started, and we will dig essentially right back into where we left off last time. Cool?
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right, here we go. Okay, command prompt. That means we're starting with the command prompt. I think we're just going to work with code today. All right, we haven't done code in a little bit, but since we're going to be mostly looking at code, thank you, code for being helpful. I thought we'd start here. Okay, so episode 39, and there's a way of creating a branch in here, I thought. No, yes, maybe. Source control. Repositories. I don't do this enough. Branches. Let's create a new branch. All right, cool. Let's go. Episode 39. Create branch. Yes, please. Thank you. Good. Yes. Oh, that's interesting. Give me a command prompt. That's not really what I wanted, but we have a branch, I think. Yes, it says we're on episode 39. All right. Let's go ahead and start episode 39, and this is all about the secure properties, and a little bit I want to talk then about the way the code is structured in the .NET framework. All right. So I probably should stage this file change. Here I am in Visual Studio Code learning a different way of doing it. Have to remember all the different ways of doing these things. All right, there we go. There's our one change, our commit, sticking with the plan, updating ourselves to build 39. Okay, cool. We have our branch ready to go. And let's see. Nope, it did not switch branches for me. It's all right. Let's see. I'm going to use my command, start episode 39. Is it going to do it for me? Nope, already exists. All right, let's do the command line. I have some things that I like. This is switch. So VS Code created it, but it did not put us on that branch. So I will do a git switch to that branch. This is my little helper in PowerShell. Tell me what branch I'm on. And then I will fast forward, I think. Main, can I do that? I want to git merge ff only main. There we go. Fast forward. That's what I wanted it to do. All right, there we go. There's a create branches switch option. Oh, thanks. That's what I get for not reading closely. Thank you, Bob. Okay. So I should now be on the correct branch with this commit, and everything will work out because it's all going to end up in main. So I have that extra commit on main, but it'll be fine when we get there. All right, there we go. A little bit of git foo. By the way, I have this command called git ff, which is merge with ff only. It's a way of making sure that I can bring one branch into another branch very quickly and easily, but not have to worry about creating an extra commit while I do that. It's essentially just give me all those changes into my branch, please. That's what ff is for. All right. All that just to get started. Okay, where did we leave off? You know what? I'm going to bring the code over. So I thought, why not go ahead and bring over this code as well. This is the WiX code. This is my WiX code enlistment. I think it's actually WiX 5 now. I haven't updated my little root there. And we're going to open code here as well. All right. And here are all our .NET Framework files. Remember, this is kind of where we left off last time.
Right.
All right, cool. I actually don't know how many changes we're going to make in our own project. We'll see. And we were doing, which one did we do? I have to switch to another Visual Studio Code back. Which Visual Studio or which .NET Framework did we end up needing? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember which one.
We picked one. I think it was 472 because that's what all our projects were. All right, so let's look at the .NET Framework 472 detection code. All right, there we go. And here we are. Yay! This is the code that says, hey, set the property WiX.NET Framework 472 or later installed to value equals 1 after app search if this condition is true. WiX NetFX 4 release installed and the version number is greater than or equal to the minimum of .NET 472, which was this number up here. Do you remember us talking about that last time?
Yes.
It sets this property to 1 when we have detected the .NET Framework and the version that we detected on the machine has a number that is greater than our minimum number. That makes sense. And we use this property ref to go find it. And if we go look for where that is defined, property ref, property. So there are a whole bunch of property refs. Here's a property. And we can see that, oh, it's just one of those simple registry searches. And we've done that before into HK local machine, Microsoft, .NET Framework setup, yada, yada, yada. Give us the release number. All right, cool. Cool?
Yep, cool.
All right. We talked all about this. There's a quick refresher crash course for the way that it worked last time. And notice I pointed out all these different bits and pieces about all this code, right? You know, yeah, here's the name. We want to get the raw value. We don't want to interpret it. We just want to get the value that's out of the registry because the Win installer can detect it as a directory and things like that. No, it's just a number. We just want that. All that stuff's easy. I kept skipping over the secure equals yes. Didn't I?
Yes.
Any ideas what that means?
That it's secure.
I expected nothing more. Let's talk about it because this is actually the thing that I want to talk about. Okay, we're using this code. Secure equals yes says that yes, this is a MSI secured property. We can define our properties to be secure. All right, so I keep talking about what this is. What that means is we are defining that this property is safe to be sent from the UI side of the Windows installer over to the installation side, the execution side, where the install happens. All right. So let me bring up the sandbox real quick, and we'll get this going. And I'm going to do a build real quick. We haven't done a build from the command line in a while. Let's go ahead and do that one. Okay. While that's running, our sandbox will spin up. Our build will happen behind us, doing all of its things. And then we will get a new build, hopefully, in our bin x86 directory, debug enus. Hopefully our build test will show up here. Make sure the build is done. Build succeeded. Looks like it should be there. All right, let's install this thing real quick. When I double click on it, remember we've added a UI. The Windows installer runs the UI. Also remember the sandbox doesn't do elevation prompts, does it?
Right.
Okay. So since the sandbox doesn't do elevation prompts, let me do mine. I'm going to launch this MSI on my machine. Right? I don't run elevated. I go through the experience of living the UAC prompts. I know some devs just turn off UAC, like I don't want to deal with it. I leave it on all the time, a lot, to make sure I remember the experience that other people have. All right, so I'm gonna start this MSI. This is the same as double clicking on it. Ready?
All right.
Let's see which window it pops up. Of course, it pops over on my main monitor. Ta-da! Here it is. Let's make the sandbox small so we can see that this is on my computer. Okay, here we are. This is the UI. Notice the UI just came up. New elevation prompt. It just said, hey, here's the UI. Do you want to do your thing? I'm going to accept this lorem ipsum. And then, hey, look, here's an install button with a shield on it. Do you remember when we added the shield last?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yes.
And when did we add it? Why did we add it?
That gets through all the UAC stuff, right?
That's right. We do it as an indication to the user to tell them that a UAC prompt is coming. When you click on this, a UAC prompt. So I'm going to click on this. What you guys are going to see, I expect, is a black screen. So let's see if it does that. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's thinking about it. Oh, come on. There it is. Hopefully you now see a black screen. Right?
It does. Well, we don't. I don't think we see the black screen, so I'm not seeing it.
You don't see any. You see the same screen as before?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I see the belt test.
All right, chat, tell me, what do you guys see on the screen right now? Because I expected it to be black for everybody. On my machine, I see the user account control. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher, because we're not signing anything, to make changes to your device? I'm going to click no.
So on YouTube, it is black. On where we're at, it's not. So
okay, all right, that's fine.
My experience there. Sorry about that.
That's good. I'm glad it's all black on chat. So there you know that your elevation prompt came up. I hit no, and it said, hey, the setup was interrupted, has not been modified, all that kind of good stuff. All right. Excellent. Oh yeah, my picture should have stayed there. That's cool. It was all black except for my picture in the bottom corner. That's because I was being overlaid. All right, great. Good to know. Thank you, Martin. That's good to know. All right, so I said no. I did not make any changes, okay? So this Windows installer, oh, I didn't run it. All right. Let's do it again. I need a log file this time. Okay.
Yep.
MSI exec, switch I. Let's just path the whole thing. L star V, because we want a useful log file. I.text. We're running this on my local machine again. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to do this. Bring it up. I'm not going to make you guys sit and stare at a black screen for very long. Although UAC prompt did take quite a while last time. All right. And there it is. I can hear it ding in my headphones. It probably doesn't go out to you guys. And then I'm going to click no. I hit no. The installation does not go through, all that kind of good stuff. So everything, you're like, all right, great. What have we accomplished? Let's open up this. Can we open it up here? It should have i.text. Oh yeah, good. Cool. This is nice and big. Maybe a little bigger. All right, cool. All right, so I want to try to find what is the property we're searching for. I need 2 Visual Studio Codes open at the same time. Can I stick this one? Come on. Grab, slide over here a little bit. Okay, I'm looking for this property, WiX NetFX4 release installed. Go ahead and do a search for that. Cool, property changed. And its value is 52382. I think this is 581, right? That's what we saw?
Yep.
Adding next NetFX. And then here. Okay, this is what I want to show you. All right, so remember I talked about the UI being, it comes up with no elevation prompt. It runs as a normal user. It runs as me. It does not have permissions to modify the machine. You cannot touch protected locations in your UI. This is all by design. The Windows installer wants to bring up the UI very quickly, have you go through your experience, and then when you push the button to install, then it will do the UI elevation prompt, and then it will do all the work to actually modify the machine over in that elevated part. Okay, I haven't lost you, right?
Okay, right.
Okay, so now they call this, sometimes they call it the UI and the execute. They sometimes call it the client for the UI and the server for the elevated part. Not that it's a real client server, that's what they call it. And you can see that called out here. You remember these C's and S's I pointed out a long time ago?
Right.
The C is the client side, the S is the server side. And these numbers in here, this is the process number, I think, and the thread. Although 00 doesn't sound right. But this is definitely the process number on the server side. All right, so if you go look in hex, I think that's the process number that we were dealing with. Okay, so you can see right here at this point, I click the install button. Let's see, do we see the UAC prompt in here? License accepted property, action ended welcome dialog. That's where we were at. And then it switched over to the progress dialog. I don't know if you saw it, or the progress dialog came up for a minute before the UAC prompt came up over top of it. Did you see that? All right.
Did we see the progress? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small window. We saw, I think, maybe more on the first one when it was taking longer for the UAC prompt to come up. And then this dialog comes up, and then the Windows installer launches the server side, and that's the elevation prompt that triggers up. The server side comes up and then throws up a UAC prompt. All right. This transition is what we're looking at. Okay. And when it says here, switching to server, it then lists all these properties across here. Oh, there's a lot of them. I'm almost, let's see, can I do word wrap? Let's try word wrap. I'm a little afraid. Oh, okay, actually turned out okay-ish. Still pretty hard to see. Let's break this down a little bit. Switching to server, WiX.NET Framework. Data folder is this big long path. Customer. Oh, WiX NetFX released. Remember customer. Install folder. Target dir. Current directory. Client UI level. Client process ID, the username, where I started the source from, what kind of action we're doing, install, root drive, install level, second sequence, and then add local. All right, there's all these properties. This is nice list thing. These up here, these first few look like ours, right?
Right.
You've seen those. Do we use WiX for next? There's the remember customer, and then install, and then target dir. But then you get down to these, and these are all ones that the Windows installer provided for us. Okay, we can dig into what they are, but they're not terribly interesting right now. All right, so that's that side. This is the client side. This is the client saying, hey, here's all these properties that I want to try to send over to the server. And now the S side is saying, hey, the Windows installer is going to start up on the server side, and we get all this preamble stuff, which we don't care that much about. And then we get the command line that was passed to us. All right, so let's look at these that we got. Data folder, customer, WiX NetFX, remember customer, install folder, target dir, current directory. All right, and then we're back down to these again. Okay, all right, now execute action, root drive. Wow, there's a lot. Install level, second sequence, add local, and then action install. Oh, look, there's 2 action installs. That's kind of weird. Okay. Now I'm going to admit, this is the part that I was supposed to do the testing and verifying what was going on. This is the command line. These are the set of properties that ended up over on the server side. Oh, but I know what's happening. Right. Okay. So these are the properties. This says that's in the command line. Okay. All right. Now I want to look. So we did the client side, and it will pass over properties to the server side, but it's only supposed to pass the secure ones. Okay.
Okay.
Because what they don't want you to do is have like lots of properties running around in your install. Maybe you're doing a bunch of stuff in your UI, and the Windows installer wants you to be precise and say explicitly, these are the properties that I'm okay going from the UI side, where it's done in the user process, over to the secure side, the server side, the elevated side, where all the work is done. Because you could imagine someone putting in some funky property that you're not prepared to be set from the command line straight into the server side, and then from the UI side to the server side, and then cause all kind of havoc inside your install. So you have to list the set of properties that can be passed across it, which is also what public is supposed to, which is also the public, right? They can be set in the command line, which means they're all uppercase. You'll notice all of these are all uppercase. Yep. Only those will make it across. Now, the thing that's surprising me is that I don't think we set remember customer as secure, right? Because we haven't talked about it. I don't think we dropped it in.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So now we need to go dig in, because this is not what I expected. Okay, so I'm going to go search from the top again, and I'm going to follow along what remember customer does. All right, so this is very top. We're on the client side again. This is very useful to know where you're at. I went to the top of the file and searched down, and I see here remember property changed. Its value is fire giant. Okay, that means it Must have found it on this machine. That's fine. And then we get to the client side saying, all right, we're going to pass this property across. And then on the server side, it says it's there. And then on the client side, it's there. Yeah. So, and then I'm back to the top of the file. We did not say that remember customer should be secure, did we? All right, let's go check.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. This is surprising me. All right, now we're gonna do a search across everything and look at where we define customer. There it is, property, remember customer. It does not have secure equal yes on it. This is not what I expected. This is why we're here. Welcome to a live show. This is gonna be one of those shows where I'm like, well, this is what I get for not doing my research beforehand. Let's see where we end up, okay?
Okay.
Now, the next thing we're going to do is let's go look at the MSI because I'm now in no man's land and I want to kind of debug and see what's going on. So we're going to see how the Windows installer stores secure properties, okay?
All right.
So in WiX, you put the word secure right out here. Secure equals yes or true, same thing, true. Okay. The Windows installer does not do that because the Windows installer has a property table, and that property table has 2 columns, property and value. All right. So that's not really helpful. They don't have a place to put, oh, well, how do you say which of your property is secure? Well, the way you do it is you have a MSI secure custom properties down here. And so let's look. Can we see this value? Can I open this? I can't get all of them visible here. Whoop, I minimized it. I can't slide over. There we go. Can you make this as big as I need it? Okay, here we go. All right, WiX is framework installed. I expect that. WiX upgrade detected, WiX NetFX 4, and that's it. These are the only ones that are listed as secure, which is what we saw, right? We saw WiX NetFX is secure, and we saw WiX is Net Framework 4.7.2 or later is secure. We did not see, I mean, this is built in. A bunch of these other properties are just built in things that we're getting for free. Mostly because of UI.
And the only difference on your machine is you have it in the registry already versus on the sandbox, it wouldn't have been. Would it look the same on the sandbox?
It should, but we can go ahead and run it there. I don't think it's going to be different. So this is the part that has me confused. Like, oh, not that window. I need the other window with the Dojo. Oh, only one oh, do I have a sandbox open? Oh, I still have it running.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, here we are. All right, I'm going to cancel this because I double clicked on it. We're going to need a log file for this. All right, let's go back. Open this. Make it bigger. MSI switch I. Belt test package. L star V I.text. I'm going to delete this one. Sometimes I get a little paranoid. And if I see there's already a I.text, I will delete it. Just so I don't have to think, oh, did it actually overwrite the file or not? Just do that for sure. All right, msx/I belt test package L star V I.text. Okay, we get this, accept, and then I'm going to do the install. And when I hit install here, notice the shield is missing. That's because this sandbox is running everything elevated. So as soon as I hit this button, it's going to go do the install.
Right.
No UAC prompt. Boom, done. All right, so we successfully installed, and now we're going to open this I.text. We'll open it here, just so we can differentiate it. Okay, big, here. Let's go search for the remember me customer pattern. I want to remove that secure because that's not actually there. We did not build with that. All right, remember customer. What?
Okay. That's
right,
different.
Well,
that's good.
that makes sense. It didn't find it. It did not. It did not find it. But we do have remember data folder. We're not going to have anything to remember here. No. All right. Which of our property? Oh, customer. Customer will be here. All right. So customer from command line. Nope. All right. We're not setting the customer from command line. Where is the property? There it is. All right. So here it is finally. On the client side, property change, adding customer value gets set to valued, which is the default inside the MSI.
Right.
Okay, great. Oh, I have a lot of things looking for customer. All right, and now here we are switching to server. WiX is NetFX framework. I need to make some space here. By the way, I do this a lot in my log files as well. This whole taking log files and then tearing them apart is really useful because they get really big and sometimes you're like, all right, I need to explode this particular section out. All right, we're now to the Windows installer properties. I'm not going to worry about them. Nope, nothing unusual. And we can see there's customer right there on the secure being switching to server, and it's saying customer valued. All right, and there's customer valued on the server side saying, hey, these were passed to us on the command line from the client side. These are the properties that we got. WiX is framework, data folder, and customer. All right, next thing. We're now going to go back and not trust my memory. And we're going to go to MSI secure properties. Secure custom properties. This will be close. I didn't spell it right. Secure custom properties property. This is the thing we saw inside the MSI. This is a special property that is the list of public properties. Don't mind semicolons. Public properties means they're all caps. These properties are included with the default list of restricted public properties that the installer can pass to the server side when doing managed installations with elevated privileges. Managed installations. Managed installations. Interesting. Okay. We're just doing a normal installation, not a managed installation. All right. Restricted public properties. All right. In the case of a managed installation, the package author may need to limit which public properties are passed to the server side and can be changed by the user that is not a system administrator. There we go. All right. Some restrictions are commonly necessary to maintain a secure environment when the installation requires the installer to use elevated privileges. If the following conditions are met, the user is not a system administrator, can only override the approved list of public properties. The system is Windows Server, Windows 2000. This is very old documentation. The user is not a system administrator. The application or product being installed with elevated privileges. So we're definitely well past Windows 2000, but I am a system administrator.
Right.
And the application or product being installed with elevated privileges, which we are doing, right? This thing installs, it does an elevation. I think the reason I'm not seeing this is that I am a system administrator. So the Windows installer is ignoring the secure bits and just being like, oh, well, you're already an admin. You can do whatever you want. We don't need to make this harder already. I think that's what's happening here.
So it just makes every property secure by default?
Yeah. So this is all then the advertised bits. I'm not sure how to get into this to force the advertising. All right. So if all those conditions are true, the installer defaults to the following list of restricted public properties that can be changed by the user. These are built-in Windows installer properties that they pass along, basically that they need to make sure things will work properly across that. You saw that we added the action. The action said install. That's because we're doing an install. The actual change if we're doing like an uninstall, things like that. And there's all these other things. All these are different uses. And by adding properties to the secure custom properties, or in WiX by marking them secure, you can add to this list to make sure that in these situations where you are not a system administrator, your properties will get passed across correctly. I think that's the problem. Yeah, restricted user control. The should be set to 1, including properties sent to the other. All right, let's see if we can find this property inside the Windows installer. So this is set. Right, so this should be set by the Windows installer when we are restricted, and we're not restricted.
Right,
which
so
makes
it shouldn't
sense.
be 1 in this.
It's not a 1. It's not set at all. So we're not restricted, which is why I've not been seeing this problem all along. Now I'm sitting here trying to figure out how can we demonstrate this live, I'm not sure we're going to be able to. Without me somehow getting a different user prompt, which would basically be, I think I need a VM or something. I'm not sure even advertise is going to do it, Bob, to cause this. And if it did, I'd have to go back and figure out how to get advertise to work the way I want it to cause this problem. Run as, no, because so run as, I could try to run as a different user. The problem is that run as doesn't load your whole profile in this. It's complicated. You have to get your whole user profile, and because the Windows installer is a system service, it can see across a lot of those tricks. So you really want to be the other user to test it. So I may need to spin up a VM to reproduce this so that we can create a different user. Where the sandbox is really nice and lightweight, and it's elevated all the time, which is great for a lot of our tests. Here we actually need a test that we want to dig into a different user context, and the sandbox is not about that at all. The sandbox is you're just this special admin user across the whole thing.
And so really what the secure element does is make it where you cannot change it, or you cannot modify that property.
Correct.
Unless you're...
Yeah. Let's see. Customer, and then I want to match case. We'll find it faster. All right. So what would happen is in this switching the server, it's either this command, I wanted to see that, this would not be listed. Because this is not secure, if I was restricted, yeah, you have to advertise. Yeah. Bob's bringing up the whole advertisement thing, which I think is the thing I'm gonna have to go experiment with. So because this is not secure, if I was in the restricted mode, aka not an admin, then when switching the server, this property would not be in the list of properties to be passed across.
So we would have never even seen our valued default property, or we should have never really seen it.
Yeah, except, so, all right, this is actually the thing I wanted to dig in to. What will happen is that the property here, customer marked valued is set on the client side, right? It was defaulted there.
Right.
But it's also, when it gets loaded on the server side, it will get loaded again if it's not set back to the default. Okay, so here we're passing default, so we don't see that behavior. If we changed it, it's passing customer along, so it would not load the default, and it would use that one, and Windows installer would be fine. Okay.
Oh, on the server side, you mean?
On the server side, right? And this was the behavior I wanted to show, that because we did not mark some of these properties as secure, and we're only setting them on the UI side in several cases, they should not have been set on the other side. So as I was going along all of this, I would have seen these things being dismissed, and we would not have seen the behaviors that we've been seeing, which is why I was kind of like going, why, in the back of my head, as we've been doing all these demonstrations about using the registry search and all these properties, it's been itching at the back of my head a little bit, and Martin has brought it up a number of times. Why is this working? Why are these properties getting passed across? Because I didn't mark them secure, because I didn't want to talk about it yet, but then everything kept working. And so I just kind of let it go until here we are. And now I think we may have found in the documentation why it's working. And I definitely did not remember this particular fine print in here of why it was working.
Right.
And so what I want to do next is I'm going to have to spin up a VM with the user. Unfortunately, I don't have a VM right now with the user in it, so I'm not going to be able to do it right now. But I want to kind of see this is that. So let's talk a little bit about what is happening because it's not, or what's not secure. So here tells me that I know what next week's episode is going to be about. Yeah, see, Paul can see the future. There's a great Nine Inch Nails about being able to see the future. This character that he's singing as says, "I can see the future because every day is the same." It's a great line. I love that line. All right. So here you see we're setting the customer only in sequence first. Remember this optimization we talked about? Where, right. Hey, we're setting this value on the, we don't need to set it twice. We don't need to calculate it once on the UI side and then again on the server side. It just matters. We'll just do it the first time and then the value is good and we'll just carry on, right?
Right.
And I wanted to pull this partly because, yes, that's an optimization. And two, it should have exposed our secure property problem. Because if you only set it in the first sequence, say we set customer to whatever we stored in the registry, we remembered, right? We set customer, then this would get set like on the UI. And your UI, if you use the value, maybe show it in the, in all the dialogues and everything, the customer like shows up in the right places, then it'll work great in the UI. And then when you hit the install button or whatever elevation button caused the elevation to go to the server side, that property not being secure, customer not being secure, would not travel to the server side with you.
Right.
If you're in a restricted UI mode, or whatever they call it, restricted properties. What do they call it? I've already forgotten the name. Restricted user control. Just, I don't even, whatever. So if you're in restricted, right, then the customer property not being secure would not travel to the server side. And because this only runs in the first sequence, it already ran the UI. So then the UI, or then the server side will just keep the default value because it would not rerun this, reading it from the registry and all that kind of stuff. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
And I want to show it to you. I will show it to you. And that's why Paul is absolutely 100% correct. We are going to be doing this once I get a normal user system put together, because I want to show you how that happens. And this actually, now that I know that the Windows installer doesn't do this behavior all the time as a system admin, actually, the documentation says that we're going to have to break out a VM and another user and everything to verify that this documentation is correct, because the MSDN documentation is usually very good, but sometimes it's not perfect. So we will dig into this farther to verify if this is exactly what's going on. But it really concerns me that if this line is true, and because most developers are system administrators on their machines, even if they're not doing UAC, right? So I'm a system admin on my machine, but I have to do UAC prompts to get to the elevated part, right? But I'm still an admin, and I'm still recognized an admin, and I'm recognized an admin that can elevate as long as I allow each of the prompts, right? So I'm living the experience of going through UAC, but I'm not living the experience of a user that does not have admin privileges. That's like a whole nother level of complexity to operate under. Does that make sense how it, and because I'm not running as just a normal user, I am running a system admin, a non-elevated system admin normally. That means that I, when testing this, will never see this problem. And that really bugs me. It bugs me that they made this decision that system admins don't see this behavior, because it means that most developers in testing scenarios, assuming most developers are system admins on their machines, because I mean, debugging and all that, you need those kind of privileges. You won't experience this until you get it out in the field and you hit a case where people are running as non-admins.
Yep.
And that's a really unfortunate time to figure out that, oh, that property needs to be secure. It's like, oh, no, that's terrible. All right. So Martin asked one question that I do want to dig into real quick. He's asked, well, how do you word it exactly? Anything you need in the deferred phase should be secure. Right. So deferred is another name for the elevated side or the install execute side. Well, actually, no, deferred is a specific phase of the elevated side. I don't want to dig into that two things. So it's not just the deferred phase, Martin, it's even the immediate phase, to go into specifics, right? So anything that you need on the elevated side, on the server side of the Windows installer, you need to mark as secure so it travels across, all right? So in this case, remember customer, this property here is used to set customer. It does not need to travel to the server side. It is only necessary to get customer set correctly. If you do that correctly on the UI side or the server side, once you have set customer correctly, remember customer is no longer needed, right? It's a temporary thing we use to get customer set correctly. That means that remember customer does not need to be secure. It does not have to travel from the client side to the server side. But customer is customized here, and we expect that value to travel over to the server side. So it needs to travel. And that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping we can then do a test with and validate and work our way through all that. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Makes sense.
All right. So all right, let's see. I'm hoping, even though we've kind of failed miserably at actually getting to the root cause of it, or at least validating the root cause of it, we've gotten far enough along to find some interesting details. I hope you guys have found this so interesting. Paul says, so this only comes into play where a non-admin installs the app, triggers UAC, and enters a different admin creds. Not common. It's not just that scenario. It is scenarios like that. But it is any time that you're doing an install for a user that is not an admin and the application has been applied to them. So we talked about advertise a long time ago, right? The ability to push an application to a user and then like the shortcuts will show up even if the app isn't installed yet.
Yeah.
So that behavior also can cause default in, because an admin has said, normal user, you get this software. When the user clicks on the shortcut, they will get the software even though they're not an admin, because that's what the Windows installer means by the managed environments. They are managed by another admin, and that admin is your manager of your machine, so you're in a managed environment. That's what that whole managed stuff. As soon as I saw all those words of managed and managed and managed, I immediately went, oh, that's what it's going on. And then Bob immediately pointed out advertised, which is the way that admins that are managing machines push software out to things. They advertise it out. Are those words kind of starting to make sense in the Windows installer?
Yep.
Some of them? Yeah. Like this all kind of ties into that whole transform thing we talked about. And, Paul can say, well, this doesn't happen very often, except these are the superpowers of the Windows installer that other installation technologies don't have, because they haven't integrated into the administration systems, or the administration systems have integrated into them as well as the Windows installer has, that go all across these large enterprises. So when you have enterprises saying, we want a Windows installer, these are the features that they are wanting so they can manage the software. A lot of people are like, I don't want to give an MSI or whatever, just use my install. Other installations don't have these features in them that the Windows installer makes available, which makes IT's lives more straightforward, much easier, and that's why they ask for them. So you hit them in enterprises that have customers, or they have someone that is managing customers, however big that enterprise might be. Usually they're very large, right? And their lives are very challenging because when it goes wrong, it's their fault, even if, so they're dealing potentially with bad software, it's their things. Right. So Paul thinks he knows less than what he gets. So I think Paul has convinced me that yes, and I definitely want to do it. I want to verify this. I'm going to get a VM spun up, and we won't be using the sandbox next episode. I'm going to get a VM spun up with a normal user in it, and we're going to try to see if we can narrow down this experience on the secure custom properties. And if it all goes well, if it all goes as I anticipate it will, this line right here is going to be a real catch. This will really catch developers, because we're all running system admins and we won't know things that need to be secure until someone else tries it. Brutal. Very, very brutal.
Yep. All
right. So on that happy note, we're going to end it here. I wanted to actually dig into some structured code, but we're not going to make it. I think that's it. I'm going to start typing in. What do we have? I don't have any other changes on this machine, do I? I have i.text I could check in. I'm not going to check that in. We don't have anything else to do. So I will push this up to GitHub right now and give people a second kind of think, is there any more questions? Martin thinks he's got his questions answered, which I think is great. Push. Branch has no remote branch. Would you like to publish this branch? All right, now you've scared me. I don't know what that means. All right, I have a command that I can run with the command line while people think about things that they want to talk about. Do a diff. Oh, git status. What files do I have? Oh, this is i.text. Right, all right. It's telling me that I have i.text. This +1 is a way that I can quickly tell, are there files on my machine that aren't not checked in? Yes, there are. All right, so let's go ahead and do, I call it git PR, which is a command that automatically creates a push and pushes it up to GitHub. It finds all that for you, just sorts it, because then I can just click on this in my command prompt and poof, opens a new window and I've got this ready to go. And since we only have one command. That is that. Secured properties, discovery. I don't think we've done anything. Okay.
Right.
Lots of exploration. No fixes yet. All right, I'm gonna create that pull request. It goes. I've got a green light to open source for CMake module. Oh, that'll be interesting. All right, that's that. That'll be interesting. I don't like CMake, but for people that do like CMake, it'd be very interesting. Okay, that's where we're at. Not a lot happened as far as code writing. We did lots of investigation. This is kind of a debugging, I think, one. So next week, we'll pick up where we left off here and see if we can't get to the root of all this. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. It was fun. I hope you learned something, and we'll learn more next time. If you're completely confused, don't worry. We're going to try to straighten it all out in the next episode. Oh, gosh, I hope. Because if not, then I'm going to be even more confused, and I don't know where we go from there. So, until next time, you guys keep coding. You know I am. Bye.